He doesn't have anything to do with this, other than him giving me his opinion.
What is this all about?
The event was about the Presidential Library, a place that you would come to visit, to eat, to stay at the hotel, and to spend a weekend. At the time, the city of Boynton Beach could not facilitate the water and sewage.
The unprecedented flooding is being blamed on construction of new apartments where rainwater used to flow to.
A problem that can pop up when we experience heavy rain.
Looking forward to the future, the only way to protect our lifestyle here is to have this place redeveloped and make a tremendous amount of money from the sale of the property.
Because the potential sale, I wanted to be in this area.
We are strategically located. We are the best opportunity in the world for Donald. We are gonna make Briny great again.
He's got some great ideas.
But the infrastructure is crumbling.
Find someone that can redevelop the property.
This whole community is in such disarray with the infrastructure, the seawalls, and everything that needs to be rebuilt that it's not gonna last.
I know Briny Breezes has got a lot of problems, but it's getting to the point where Briny Breezes is not comfortable to live anymore.
There are several people in here that really do not like me, did not like this idea, and really just want me gone.
You know, this man is a nut. He screamed and chased us down the street. We got it on video.
What's your name, sir?
James.
James. What's your last name? Maria. Oh, yeah.
He lives over in and I think you guys have been out here twice today because people have asked me to remove pictures from his real estate website, like he's posting pictures, so we went over there.
In 1955, the United States Congress passed the Presidential Libraries Act, establishing a system of privately erected and federally maintained libraries. Presidential libraries have been established in each president's home state in which documents, artifacts, and museum exhibits are maintained that relate to the former president's life and career. The town of Briny Breezes is located in the heart of Palm Beach County, Florida, where President Trump decided to make his permanent residence. This location would be the first presidential township in America. My name's real estate broker James Arena.
Hi, I'm Chuck Swift.
My name is Joe Nichols.
My name is Ira Friedman.
My name is Barry Laramie. I'm a roofer, and I've lived in Briny Breeze for about 10 years.
I've been in Briny for about 5.5 years. I'm currently a project manager for a major construction company in Pompano.
I've loved living here for about 25 years. Wouldn't live any other place.
I'm in the real estate business. I've been in this business for about 15 years in the same zip code. I sell primarily in Briny Breezes, and I've been living in Briny Breezes for the past decade.
I have been an at-home mother for many, many years. I started the history in 1991.
I've been retired, and before that, I spent a long couple of decades as a t-shirt printer up in Massachusetts.
We have a lot of people that own here from all over the world, people from all walks of life, people from every state, people from different countries that live here in Briny Breezes because they want to enjoy the beach and the intercoastal. They don't buy here because they're looking for a trailer. They purchase in this trailer park because they want to live by the ocean, and we're one of the most affordable places to live by the ocean and get this type of lifestyle.
It's got its own little surf spot. Part of paradise. The only thing that ever stopped me from really looking into living here was that it was a trailer park. But as soon as I saw what it offered, you can take a golf cart to the beach. You can take your paddleboard up there, put it in 2 seconds, you can jump on your boat and go out, live in the millionaire lifestyle for a fraction of the cost. So Briny's perfect.
I've always wanted to live in this community because it's so close to the beach. It's in such a great location. I love fishing, surfing, and it's a very safe and awesome place to call home. It's always just been difficult to get here because it's cash only to buy in Briny. Big move, big change. There's no place like Briny, and everyone falls in love with this place. The amenities and lifestyle we all get to enjoy are worth trying anything to preserve. Cummins Construction's here, laying the concrete. Let's go check out and see what it's looking like. What's up, Renee? It's my helper. We did a good job.
My wife found Briny Breezes, and they moved in here in the early 90s. And I've been coming ever since. We can relax, and it's a nice place to live. We love Briny Breezes.
My first visit to Briny Breezes was in 1964. We came to visit the Ribchesters at Cardinal. We met quite a few people in Briny, and the office said, we have a piece of property for sale on Briny Breezes Boulevard. And I said, how much is it? They said it's $13,000. I said, well, my husband's not home right now. I'll have to get back in touch with you. And they said, I'm sorry, but the person's here. You have to make a decision right now. I said, okay, it's bought. I'm buying it. So we came down and we went to the West Coast and we bought a trailer over there. It was about $5,500 and it was delivered. And that's how we got started.
Briny Breezes Trailer Park, the boardwalk and park place of real estate in the real world. Briny has a deep history that has just been waiting to be told. Almost a century of preservation and conservation of this land. 2 Hollywood blockbusters were produced in Briny Breezes, and several presidents have visited this town. How Briny became Briny is the American dream come true.
What do you know about the history of Briny Breezes?
I really don't know much about the history. A couple of people got together, made a little trailer park, and it's just gotten bigger and bigger over the years.
Briny Breezes has an amazing history. It's been here for over 60 years.
I believe Briny Breezes was a pineapple grove.
Briny Breezes started off as a strawberry field with people coming down from up north during the Depression and dragging campers down here.
The gentleman who owned the cow pasture used to allow campers to come down with their trailers and park here and camp. And they would get strawberries and milk. As long as they bought strawberries and milk, he'd let them camp here.
Briny Breezes was just like a wilderness property.
They took a big interest in the property, and those campers actually were great businessmen.
When Miller bought it back in 1919, he actually turned it into like a cattle farm. There was 500 cows, and he named it Shore Acres Dairy. Then in 25, Miller subdivided the land into 25 by 30 lots and sold it for nearly $2 million. After the Florida property bubble burst in 1926, the property came back to the Miller family, lot by lot. The land stayed in the Miller family, managed by Paul and Chalmer Miller, until October 1958.
They were great businessmen who had a lot of foresight to see to the future of what this property could be, and they decided to buy it and incorporate it. They made an offer and the gentleman accepted it. I believe it was around $2 or $3 million. They were able to acquire Briny Breezes. And at the time, the town also was being established by these men to protect the town from being enforced by code. There was new code coming to make you come up to code in the community, so they decided to incorporate as a corporation, but also start a town in Palm Beach County called Briny Breezes.
Back in the 60s, I understand that some code compliance issues were starting to arise, and the best way to take care of that was to start with grandfathering everything in.
I believe that the founding fathers just thought that Briny would be in a better position to have self-control if we became a town instead of just a corporation.
By becoming a town, we could have our own rules and regulations.
They were able to acquire the town from Boynton because Boynton had a $30,000 or $35,000 unpaid tax bill, and they were in big trouble at the time. At the time this was sold, the Boynton Inlet was on the market for sale. Boynton Beach was in some trouble, and these gentlemen saw an opportunity, and they took that opportunity and incorporated the town of Briny Breezes. Boynton Beach made a big mistake losing this property, but they do supply all of the utilities here.
Government funds for sewer and water.
They supply water, sewage, things like that, police, fire, to the town of Briny Breezes.
One of the mysteries of this whole town is that it's actually Chapter 719 is co-op, but this is such a redheaded stepchild where it's a co-op and it's also a town. They're two separate entities and they can play ping pong and bounce things back and forth, so there's actually no responsibility, and at the same time grandfather in under state law so that the code requirements don't have to be met. Somebody was on their game.
Its history has been full of tons of things, but one of the things is that we are a trailer park until it gets redeveloped. That won't change. They secured that future over 60 years ago. They're going to ride this baby until the wheels fall off. And when the wheels fall off, they're sitting on some pretty prestigious land to sell. We're a town. We are a fully legitimate township.
The shareholders of Briny are residents of the town and owners of the corporation.
The library was started when we got the town. The library is supported by the town.
The town is a formal, legitimate, recognized township in the state of Florida.
This is the proclamation, hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, all members of Briny Breezes Park, all property of whatsoever nature now belonging to Briny Breezes Park will be lawfully declared free and clear from every part of the $350,000 mortgage. And that's when they had the burning of the mortgage.
The whole reason for the town was to protect the shareholders of the corporation, because we're a trailer park. We're a trailer park on A1A, on the barrier island, that commands some of the most prestigious land in the country. So thank God for those gentlemen and what they put in place. And we've preserved it for over 60 years here, and it's been a great thing.
An update now on a story we reported on last year about a South Florida trailer park where residents were poised to become millionaires. A developer offered residents of Briny Breezes $500 million for their 43 acres on the ocean between Palm Beach and Boca Raton.
So do you know about the time the town almost sold for $510 million, and were you living here at the time?
Yeah, I was living here during that period of time. We had an investor that made a very inviting presentation.
Do you know about the time the town almost sold for $510 million?
Oh yes, I do, yes.
And can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, a lot of people wanted it sold and a lot of people wanted it to stay. I was one of the ones that it really didn't matter one way or the other.
Do you know about the time the town almost sold for $510 million?
Man, I think the whole world knows about the time the town almost sold for $510 million.
There was a newspaper and the headlines was, Briny Breezes is selling tin cans for gold.
Good day for people that spent $15,000 for a tin can.
It was on international news at that time. It was in every newspaper. Every listing in Briny came off the market. I believe Ocean Land Development from Boca Raton was the outfit that got the contract.
It's been a roller coaster ride for the 1,000 or so residents of Briny Breezes, one that began when they voted to accept a bid by Ocean Land Investments to buy the town of 488 trailers for $510 million.
It was like New Year's Eve almost. I mean, the only thing wasn't there was snow and hats and horns.
82% of residents voted to trade in their little bit of paradise for cold, hard cash.
I knew that the people that owned units here were all going to make about $1 million, which is a lot considering some of the people paid 10 or 20 or 30,000 and now are going to make $1 million.
So the sale was very close to a $510 million net sale without taxes.
I remember when it happened.
It's the pot at the end of the rainbow.
Most of the people were just flabbergasted with the number, because $510 million in 2006 was a lot of money. They were just blown away by how much money that was coming in. A lot of people did not want to sell.
My parents were against selling.
I didn't have confidence that they had the money to do this. I just wasn't sure why, but I didn't have a good feeling about it.
There was a lot of people who were angry with each other.
Most people had buttons on saying they didn't want to sell, never sell Briny. And when it came down time to vote, 90% of the community, I think it was 89%, voted to sell. So the majority of people were just saying don't sell. They were playing for the cameras. But when it was time to sign, they signed to sell.
Last week, Ocean Land Investments asked for an extension on the deadline for their next payment, saying it needed more time to deal with objections from neighboring communities. Briny Breezes' board said no, and just like that, the promise of $1 million per trailer vanished.
My name is Roger Bennett. I'm the mayor of Briny Breezes. The office of Briny Breezes received a fax from Ocean Land Development that they were pulling out of the contract to purchase Briny.
The shareholders of Briny Breezes were bamboozled by this developer because he wasn't even the one buying the place. He was putting a syndication of buyers together. He had a 2-year due diligence period with a $500,000 deposit. It actually cost the shareholders of Briny Breezes $750,000 in attorney fees. Cost them $250,000. On top of keeping the $500,000 deposit, they still had a $250,000 bill. So the deal made people feel very sour in Briny Breezes when it fell apart. And a lot of people actually wound up losing their properties. At the time, I didn't live in Briny Breezes. I lived just on the outside of Briny Breezes back in the county pocket.
Did you live in Briny Breeze during the deal?
10, 15 years after the potential sale was when I moved in.
I did not live in Briny at the time. My parents did. They were outvoted and was supposed to sell.
It was crazy because what happened with Briny Breezes that was really unique to any real estate deal is it was a 2-year due diligence period and everybody from the surrounding community had a say. People from Ocean Ridge were at the city meetings, people from Gulfstream were at the town meetings, and they were all coming to give their input on what the developer was trying to build.
Too many municipalities and local governments protesting it. And the developer did due diligence, found out all that he'd have to do and jumped through the hoops with the state and said, too much infrastructure, too much to do, I'm out.
I really don't know why it fell apart. I've heard a million different stories. The guy ran out of money, he backed out, we had a recession.
I think it was part of the economy. There was a credit card crunch.
The market did crash, but that didn't affect the purchase of this property.
I guess the deal wasn't put together very well, and they gave him an option to back out.
They had meeting after meeting after meeting.
At the time, the city of Boynton Beach could not facilitate the water and sewage. At the time of this deal, the city had started a project that they thought they would complete much quicker. It actually wasn't able to be completed for a decade. Okay, so in 2004, the East Water Project in the city of Boynton Beach expanded the East Water Tower and expanded it to the West Water Treatment Facility because the East Center could not facilitate the type of growth and development that Boynton had planned.
Well, it's a crying shame it fell apart because the place is worth $1 billion now. The truth of it is people were taking the money they didn't have and going out and buying things, and I heard a lot of sad stories about people kind of losing their tails because they went out and bought other things when the sale didn't go through. So it destroyed families even.
During the deal, people stopped maintaining their homes, and some people started making investments.
There were a lot of people that got hurt because they went out and bought places thinking they were getting this money, and it never worked out.
People took advantage because people wanted to buy in here, so they got huge numbers for their property and started selling because they were promising that the deal came through because there was a signed contract. So lots of moves were made before anything actually was finalized. People were counting their eggs before they hatched.
After the sale fell through.
Briny has changed dramatically. Lots of people that were here for a very long time maintaining this property, caring for this property, wound up getting a real bad taste because they wore buttons saying never sell.
The main thing that has changed is maybe a little more bitterness in the people that are dead set on never selling.
Briny shareholders had to realize what we really have here. I think it helped the spirit of Briny.
And Briny is very much a community where it's that vibe of we'll never get anything like it ever again. They used to volunteer in Briny Breezes, get their own garbage cans, take their own recycling bins, run the office themselves. The community ran itself. You had district leaders. Now we're very corporate. We have a corporate board that hires people. We pay for everything. Nobody volunteers. That sense of community has kind of gone down quite a bit. You still have the beautiful amenities. You still have the great, safe environment. People have kind of changed a little bit. It's not that same old everybody does everything for everybody type of vibe in here.
Briny has not changed for the better. It's stuck in the 70s. Because of the grandfather clause, there can be no major improvements. The charm is there because we're stuck in the 70s, but The infrastructure is crumbling. The sewage, the electric, the plumbing, the fresh water, the seawalls. Nothing can be improved without a major overhaul, so everything's a Band-Aid.
So here we are. You know, we got all these problems and nobody wants to talk about it.
When everything we care about is on the line, and we realize the monumental size of the obstacle in front of us, we cannot forget how valuable and strategically located our land is. Any developer, including Donald Trump, that had the wherewithal to acquire this asset would be in a once-in-a-lifetime position to control the future of the barrier island.
And one realtor in the same Palm Beach County sees a business opportunity, urging the president to buy the 43-acre town of Briny Breezes for $1 billion.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good. Merry Christmas Eve to you. What is this all about?
This is all about opportunity, not only for the president, but also for Palm Beach County residents to be a part of this amazing project. The Presidential Library, Hotel, and the first Presidential Township in the United States of America.
Donald Trump Jr., the president's eldest son, and Vanilla Ice, the pop rapper of Ice Ice Baby fame, are both denying that they are collaborating with a MAGA superfan in Florida on a $1 billion scheme to transform a Palm Beach County trailer park into the eventual Donald J. Trump Presidential Library. A spokesman for Trump Jr. told the Daily Beast on Monday in a brief statement.
Vanilla Ice is somehow involved in this project with branding? Explain.
Vanilla Ice isn't involved with this. He just gave me his opinion, and I value his opinion. He's got a hit television show on the DIY network, the Vanilla Ice Project, and I really value his opinion. That's about the extent of his involvement.
All right, James, so let's come back to this opportunity, as you say, for the president. You are aware that he is a pretty fierce negotiator. Are you prepared for the negotiations to begin?
This is a very simple land deal. We have 43 acres in between the Atlantic Ocean and the Intercoastal Waterway. This project will create unbelievable economic opportunity for everyone in Palm Beach County. Water taxis going to and from the Presidential Library. It'll really help the entire county, and the president has helped the entire country, creating over 4 million jobs since his election. So this will be a great way for him to build a project on one of the most prestigious pieces of real estate in the world. So
Briny Breezes, we will find out. James, we're going to put you on the record. If you get an update on this, we want you to come here first to tell us.
Whether you're a fan of Donald Trump or not, Palm Beach County residents would benefit tremendously from having the Trump Presidential Library in Palm Beach County on the Intercoastal Waterway. Water taxis would transform the transportation east of I-95, and community redevelopment projects would be implemented across the Tri-County area.
Who doesn't know who James is? James is the mayor of this town. He just hasn't made it to the proper seat yet.
He's got some great ideas, and he felt he could put the ideas in place.
James wasn't happy with our government structure. Both the corporation and the town, as far as James is concerned, needed some new blood and some new ideas.
He's a very, very kind, good gentleman.
James is the know-it-all of Briny. He knows everything top to bottom, side to side.
I don't know him personally. I know he's very colorful, very loud. He makes a lot of people nervous.
Why were you all putting something on his door?
And here's the letter. It's very non-threatening.
A guy like me with new ideas and a lot of energy, I got a lot of pushback.
I have a GoPro with me all the time because I'm getting harassed, I'm getting attacked.
And I think the platform that I decided to run on was not something they wanted to hear, but something that they had to hear.
James Arena felt like nobody was listening to him, so he thought it was time to jump in the race.
We need leadership that will tell people the truth.
So I decided to run for mayor a few years back on the idea that the town needs to be redeveloped, and we should allow Donald Trump to come in and redevelop this town into the first presidential township, a presidential library, a presidential hotel, and the first presidential township in the United States of America. But the town of Briny Breezes has certainly changed, and something has to happen, and that's why I decided to run for mayor. After talking to a large number of my constituents, I can tell you that together, we are gonna make Briny great again. As mayor, I would propose that we allow the Trump organization to redevelop this entire town into the first presidential township in America, renaming it Trump Town, USA. I'm real estate broker James Arena. I'm running for mayor and I approve this message. I have invested everything I own into this community. I've raised my children here and I run my business here. I sell primarily Briny Breezes real estate. And during the process, I've done a lot of my own research to see if there's any way we can fix some of the major infrastructure problems that we have and that we are facing as a corporation and a township in the very near future. And after my own independent research, I found there is no possible way.
We're stuck in fables and lies about, just keeping a Band-Aid on everything will keep this place afloat, and we literally are sinking. I've done a photo essay of the seawalls themselves. They're cracked, side to side, top to bottom.
I put this deck in when I first bought the place in 2013, I believe, was when I put the deck in. Permitted, engineers, everybody told me how to do it, the best build. So I spent about 50 grand. And you can see that I'm losing where we're tied into the seawall here. I've dropped about 4 inches over the last 6-7 years.
Look at the stress cracks. Look at the additional weight. These T-columns were designed for the original weight of the original seawall. Now it's got who knows the amount of pounds and tons of cement that were added. Never saw an engineer report, never saw a permit. Saw guys out here with no shirts on drinking Old Milwaukee, putting it together. I'm sure they were licensed. Chunk missing there, but look at that T-column. Shot, done. Now we can go back up here and look to see what they've dug out from the back, but this is where the whole corner cap is ready to go in.
The only reason why it didn't detach is because I put it up to the seawall here. So it's attached. The seawall isn't sinking, it's just eroding from underneath.
That is not a job for hydraulic cement. That's going to require engineering, it's going to require stress tests, it's going to require some firm that understands how much weight it can withstand.
No maintenance next door, falling apart. If they do nothing about it, it should be another 10 inches in the next 10 years. If you take a look, everything's just going down here.
I've got copies of the reserve. We're supposed to be spending $110,000 a year in repairs, and then there's supposed to be 3 times that to go into the capital improvement to replace it. Now the big challenge is Briny Breezes has been doing partial payment on their reserves forever. I do continuing education. As I mentioned, I'm a CAM licensed manager. I also have my CAM 7 and my CAM 8 designation, which means I write continuing education courses and I go into different forums and teach them. There's 3 residential canals in the marina, all total close to 1 mile of seawall.
Now this is probably the worst. But it's expanding, you know what I mean? It's just, I used to be the only one, now everybody's sucking everybody in.
How did you get the word out that you were running for mayor in Briny Breezes?
Well, I didn't come up with the idea. This lady, Lynn Weiner, came up with the idea. And it was to do an event at the community center called Food for Thought.
I didn't get a chance to attend.
But the event was put together to bring the truth to Briny.
And we were basically just going to do an event where I was going to lay out some of the things that I found through my own independent research with a good friend of mine, Chuck Swift.
I was honored that James asked me to do a portion of the event myself.
So we did some research together and we were going to launch this event there and play my mayoral campaign video there and just invite as many people we could to get them there and feed them. The event was called Food for Thought.
The whole park was invited.
and you could also speak if you wanted to speak.
I remember that it seemed like 30%, might have been 10% of extremely loud people that had a negative attitude toward it.
And there was people that got up and asked all kinds of stupid questions.
And they just asked a bunch of questions because they were so skeptical about potential of $1 billion for Briny Breezes.
But James Arena, he kept his cool. Some people only came for the food. They said, we don't care what he says.
That's awful.
We were definitely not the enemy. By the majority of the shareholders and the majority of the people at the party, they were very much for what I was saying, and they were very intrigued by it and thought it was a great idea. It was held at the community center, and we invited the entire community, everybody. I invited every single shareholder to come. I fed everyone, and we just had a really nice conversation about this idea.
I did the photo essay and walked the community and did a full 30-minute overview of how sewage, fresh water, seawalls, even the Quonset huts up there on A1A, they're all falling apart. The biggest problem is that for the past 40 years, instead of fully funding the reserves, they've been partially funded and waived, and the band-aiding hasn't even been done properly.
A large number of the community, whether they're for Donald or not, really liked the idea and concept.
I believe the dinner in the presentation was entitled $1 Billion Briny.
So the Presidential Township could solve a major environmental problem for Palm Beach County, Gulfstream, and Ocean Ridge. And the Presidential Township can also solve a major traffic problem in Palm Beach County on Federal Highway.
Palm Beach has a problem. Your community perhaps has the same one, a huge rush hour traffic problem. Morning and afternoon, drivers stop and start and sit and fume. So what can be done?
The county could have water taxis taking people to and from the destination, which would be the Presidential Library, or township, where you'd have restaurants and all the normal things you would have in a town. People could visit the township and spend a day on the water. I envision people coming into Palm Beach County and actually going to visit the Presidential Library, staying at the Presidential Hotel, and visiting a Presidential Township and spending time in Palm Beach County. So it would be great for Palm Beach County from a tourist standpoint. Now, Briny Breezes has not been put on the market for sale. Briny Breezes is not currently for sale, and maybe that's why the commissioners in Palm Beach County have not approached Briny and Boynton Beach and Gulfstream and Ocean Ridge about this opportunity. And maybe they don't know that there is this opportunity, but in my opinion, there's a tremendous opportunity to solve two major environmental and traffic issues at the same time as building one of the most state-of-the-art, revolutionary presidential libraries, hotels, and the first presidential township in the United States of America. A beacon of success that the whole world could see and come and visit and actually would visit. Well, the following days kind of were just a spiral of phone calls and emails and people saying that they love the idea and how do we do it and how do you get it going. As a matter of fact, it went international. Someone from the Palm Beach Post was at the event. The idea and concept intrigued the entire nation. It went global overnight.
How did you hear about the Trumptown USA Presidential Library concept?
I believe I saw it on Fox News.
This is a very simple land deal. We have 43 acres in between the Atlantic Ocean and the Intercoastal Waterway. This will be a great way for him to build a project on one of the most prestigious pieces of real estate in the world.
So, Briny Breezes, we will find out. James, we're going to put you on the record. If you get an update on this, we want you to come here first to tell us.
I think it has merit.
Next day or day after, there's James Arena on Fox News, telling the Briny story and the whole connection between Vanilla Ice and the Trump family, and here it's all coming together with a perfect storm for a sale for the Presidential Library.
What are your thoughts about the concept?
I have no feeling towards it in any way, you know.
Do you think the township and Presidential Library can actually be built here?
Absolutely. Briny Breezes could be the Presidential Library, because if Donald Trump wants to get something done, it'll get done.
no matter if you like or loathe Trump, a presidential library in his name will have historical and economic impact that would benefit all of Palm Beach County.
Palm Beach County is trying to get Donald Trump to put his library in several locations in Palm Beach County.
It's 10 minutes down the road from Mar-a-Lago, and this is the ultimate location. Fort Lauderdale Airport, Palm Beach Airport, Bahamas, the marina. It's got everything that a multi-million-dollar marina, hotel, presidential library could have right here.
So does Vanilla Ice actually have anything to do with this presidential library or concept?
No, not in any way at all. I mean, I simply asked Rob for his opinion. He gave me his opinion, and I believe the press took Donald Trump and Vanilla Ice and a trailer park and just went to town with it. Yeah, so I know Rob from a deal we did on Manalapan Island. It was my listing. He bought it for his show. You know, we became pretty good buds. Me and my wife went to a lot of his shows and events. So I really appreciated his feedback. And it's really unfortunate that, you know, me and him really don't talk anymore because of what happened with this, because of the blowback. Yeah, he doesn't have anything to do with this other than him giving me his opinion. Shortly after we got all these phone calls and emails, the Palm Beach Post told us that we're going to be on the front page. And when they ran the story, it went from the Palm Beach Post to the Sun Sentinel to the Coastal Star. It was very surprising and exciting at the same time.
It's never bad to be well known. I didn't want us to be known as a trailer park for sale. So from that point of view, it was a bad idea. But from the point of view of getting people to know what Briny has, it was terrific.
It's amazing how you put information out and it's based in truth, it spreads fast. People want to know what's going on here. There's a mystique about Briny.
Apparently his history is like a lot of history with getting into arguments with people that live in Briny. Okay. So, like he has a battery case against somebody else who he has a restraining order against. So it seems like people just don't like him.
Do you think that there are people in the community that want to get rid of Broker James Arena?
There's people wanting him gone badly.
Do you think that there are people in the community that want to get rid of Broker James Arena?
Yes, I believe James is very loud and determined, and people don't like to change. People don't want change. So I'm sure they'd be happy to get rid of him.
It's like as if we're being run like a prison. I'm always glad you're at a meeting. Those meetings, people would be absolutely just, like Briny would be terrible if you weren't at those meetings.
What's going to be fun?
Like,
he's not saying I'm going to go out loading up on ammo so I can go shoot people during the hurricane. That's not what he's saying.
You have to talk to this man.
No, I get what you're saying, but that's
you don't know his violent temper.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but based on
I just want to make it aware that this man has guns and ammo and he thinks it would be fun to shoot somebody.
That's not what he said.
Yes, it is what he says. He's not saying it's
you have
fun.
Your ID with you?
No, I don't.
The police department was called to come investigate his firearms. His civil rights were completely disregarded, and it's been a travesty what happened, and the anger and the animosity of the people is terrible.
I've heard of a lot of people don't like James, and they want to keep him quiet, and that's all I know.
So is there a certain group of people who control Briny Breezes?
Yeah, it's the Michigan Mafia. I don't know if they're the true mafia, but the old-timers and the holdouts, they're on all the boards, all the committees, all the aldermen, all the council. They're everything, and yeah, they get it wrapped up pretty tight.
Does this gentleman belong to a board or anything?
Yeah, this man's on.
No,
He's just a realist.
So what is your goal? Are you trying to get him out of Briny Breeze?
Oh, they're rats.
No, I understand that. Aside from that, why were you all putting something on his door?
I believe that there are some families that have been here a long time that are pretty set in their ways and don't want anything to change.
To me and my wife, anything that replaces Briny is bad for this area.
I'm pretty shy, and I don't talk to a lot of people. Willard is the outgoing one.
Have you heard of anybody ever being forced to leave Briny Breezes before?
No, and I hope they're not doing that to you.
A lot of good things happen, but a lot of bad things happen. Obviously, my relationship with Vanilla Ice was tarnished from this event, but we had several people in this community that were very much against this idea and very much against me, and they really tried to get rid of me.
What were some of the tactics they used to try to force you out?
The disgusting family and their little minions went after my real estate license. They reported me to FREC. They came after my way of life, the way I feed my family. They also filed frivolous lawsuits, put fraudulent tickets on my vehicles, harassed friends, family, used their influence and power in the community just to make life difficult. They sent an elderly man to my home to punch me in the face and entice me to get into a fight with him so that I would hit him back and go to jail for elderly abuse.
Based on her information and the wife, I'm gonna charge a simple bat.
Who initiated it?
The old guy, yeah.
I just thank God every day that I know so many people in the community that I was, told what they were planning, and just flabbergasted that they actually tried to see it through. Thank God I have cameras, and the gentleman got caught and went to jail.
I really don't know what to do anymore, guys. These people are attacking me and my family, and I have done absolutely nothing. And when you see the emails, and you see the videos, and you see what I have, I think we'll all come to that same conclusion. I have no problem showing you every single thing that I have.
They certainly made a valiant effort to get rid of me, and they failed. The same group of people that tried to get rid of me have gotten rid of many people in this community. And when I say get rid of them, I'm not saying they buried them in the Everglades. They got rid of them by torturing them, making their life miserable in Briny Breezes, and forcing them to sell their property and leave.
I'm pretty sure Mr. Arena holds the record for parking tickets, which, as far as I understand, Briny Breezes doesn't even have a police department, but they do have Briny Breezes Police Department parking tickets. So I'm trying to put that together, but I forget if it's 76 or 86. He does hold the record. Violations on his hedges, violations on his dog, violations with his children, violations with the surfboards, violations, yeah. Condo Commando's gone wild in Briny.
So obviously the plan to get rid of Broker James has failed. So what's your plan moving forward?
The plan that I have moving forward is the plan that everyone is going to have. We must consider selling the property to someone to redevelop, and I believe the best person to do that is to sell it to President Donald Trump to build his library, hotel, and the first presidential township in the United States.
It'll be completely redesigned for new marina, new land elevations, a blank palette. Anybody could do whatever they want, especially the type of investor that would be developing here, so it's wide open.
I wasn't a Trump fan, so anything that had to do with converting Briny into Trump Town, and I had the same attitude I had during the $510 million sale, that I can't go any place that I like as much as Briny Breezes.
You can't do that with these houses here. You gotta get rid of these units.
And what we need to do is we need to reach out to Palm Beach County, Boynton Beach, Ocean Ridge, and Gulfstream to syndicate an operation, bring us all together so we can take the island off of septic, fix the traffic problem, and build one of the most state-of-the-art, technologically savvy townships in America, the first presidential township ever established in Palm Beach County.
I don't know if redevelopment is the right word. It needs help. We're sinking, and we need to do something about it.
Multi-million-dollar operation to put it back together properly. The real wild card is it needs to be sold.
There's no better location. I know that Donald Trump would be interested, especially if all of these people came together with this idea, this concept.
Anything could happen here.
In the business world, anything is possible.
If we can't fix it, they need to sell it.
Maybe something like the Trump Town concept?
Maybe anybody. But it's getting to the point where Briny Breezes is not comfortable to live anymore.
I don't think that the infrastructure plays any role in it. This is an opportunity that is only available to the most affluent developers in the world. They have to have tremendous wherewithal. There's just absolutely no way you could do this project without that. So it's a very small group of people. And the fact that they get to redo the entire infrastructure of an entire town is actually an opportunity. It's not a negative, it's a huge positive. But this is a portfolio investment that is strategically located and gives them the opportunity to control the development of the entire town. So we're talking about technologically savvy, we're talking about superior technology to process water, waste, and we're talking about massive service contracts, because with the process of that water and waste, they can take the entire barrier island off of septic. And with that impact comes massive federal grants to take these people off of septic, to build these solar powered boats to travel up and down the intercoastal waterway and to solve these problems. The Presidential Library to me will look like a destination resort. I see this Presidential Library being a destination resort from people from all over the world. And the way they would get here is by boat. So the only way you could get to see the Presidential Library is either stay at the hotel, which we would position the hotel directly on the ocean. It sits on coral reef, it's high and dry. Put a nice 8 to 10-story hotel right on the ocean. The way I figured to save the community from massive disbursement of water by grading the west side, which was a $500 million Army Corps of Engineers project. We would cut out a half moon in our almost 1 mile of seawall and create a yacht and vessel facility that could manage tons of vehicle traffic from boats traveling up and down the intercoastal waterway to get to the Presidential Hotel, library, and the first presidential township in the United States. I think Donald Trump's presidency has a lot of things that are very interesting to look into, and the environmental impact that he could solve and all of these different issues, these are things that he's interested in. He's a problem solver. He could help get people off of septic on the island, and if he develops it in the way that I'm recommending, I believe Gulfstream and Ocean Ridge, Boynton Beach and Palm Beach County would all be on board to help get this job done.